Behind me here is my Porsche Cayman 981 GT4. I bought this crash damaged from a salvage auction around 18 months ago, and this is the full build series to getting this thing back to 100%. And also, you want to watch it to the end, because the first time I road test this car is on track at Silverstone. Enjoy.
Please no one bid. Stop bidding. Oh. Come on, come on, come on. Yes, 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 this is it. Yes! Oh! High the bank? Yeah, I'm gonna need a lot more money. Yes, I know I've already had a lot, but it's a GT4, come on.
We're gonna have the most fun in this video trying to get this off the trailer. And I did say in the walk around video, there was one major thing that I missed off. And that was, loads of people spotted it, I didn't. Yeah. Missing a ceramic disc. Now, I didn't realize from the auction pictures this wheel was straight at the time, so I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. It wasn't until the forklift driver picked it up to lift it onto my transporter that this wheel just flapped around, and that's when I noticed that the ceramic disc was missing. Now, these are expensive. I think each disc is circa £3,000 to £4,000. Obviously, I was fully aware the near side rear needed replacing. Didn't budget for this one, so I'm immediately 3 or 4 grand down. So it's not a great start, but let's get it into the workshop. And the idea is I'm going to reverse it onto the ramp and try and lift it off the transporter using the ramp. I mean, yeah, as I said, we're going to have a lot of fun trying to do this, so let's get her in. So this was the tricky bit. I mean, it didn't help that I didn't put the car on the ramp square, but as you can see, I just can't fit the ramp legs under the car at all. And with a beaver tail with a sloping rear end, it made it even more difficult. So I used my trolley jack, and I thought I'd start with the only access I could, and that is jack up the side that is damaged. And I managed to get it up just high enough to fit that rear arm under, as you can see. And then I managed to get under the offside rear and again lift it up just enough to get the rear arm under. But this is where I become stuck. I couldn't get it under the front at all. And this is where my genius came in, and I decided to use my engine crane to lift up the wheel, and I could get under each front corner, no problem.
Right, that's now all 4 corners under the chassis, so hopefully it will just lift straight off now. Fingers crossed I haven't broken anything, or do not break anything.
So I finally got it off after all that, and I've straight away noticed another expense. So I thought this wheel would have been all right. Bit of curbing, needs a new tyre, that's fair enough. But then spun the wheel. Yeah, I think quite a bit of air is going to leak out of there, if I'm honest.
Not a great start, is it?
Now, having a quick look underneath just to check the engine before we try and start it. Good thing about the Caymans are they are mid-engined. So obviously rear end smash, mid-engine, a bit less chance of there being any damage. And I'm just having a look at this gearbox here, and I can't see any damage on the gearbox, if I'm honest. It looks like the drive shaft's just been pulled out of it. I don't know how it's connected in. Is it bolted in? Is it bolted in? Looking at the subframe doesn't actually look damaged. It hasn't moved off its mountings. You can usually tell with fresh paint if it's moved. So all its mounting points look like they haven't moved, which is good. And that's what I said in the video about the hub So everything's snapping. Snapping is a good indication that things, well, it's better when they snap because that means they don't give way as much and things don't bend then. So I'm hoping that means the subframe might be okay. So this arm snapped as well. I mean, they've all snapped. But otherwise, looking up here, look, it all looks a bit crumpled there. So I don't know how far back. I mean, we know that's caved in, but subframe wise and underneath this main bit, it looks to be at the minute okay. So I'm going to get it down, try and dip the oil just to make sure there's oil. There should be. There's no evidence of an oil leak or anything like that, so it should be fine. Yeah, I've just realised we might have a major problem with that gearbox actually, because the flange has been ripped out and that is usually held on with a bolt. So if they've ripped the bolt out, that means deep inside that hole there is a sheared bolt. So let's move on to the gearbox issues a bit later on, because that may be the least of our worries. Let's just start up the old battery charger. Oh no, I've got to plug it in first. Let's try again. Alright, so something's going on. Oh, it's probably flashing because there's no brake fluid in it, I'm imagining. Alright, we've got some sort of ignition, so battery's going to be very flat, so let me just leave it on charge for 5 minutes. Right, now I've got a key. Let's see if we can get in the boot. There we go. Oh, nasty. I was hoping there would be some parts maybe, but obviously not. Right, I have no idea how to check the oil level. Is it on a dipstick? Nope. Yeah, so I think you can only do it through the car's infotainment or through the dash. Right, let's go for a start. It's going to get the exhaust button open, even though I'm pretty sure it's going to be permanently open anyway. Foot on the clutch. Oh, right, it turns over. So that's a very, very good start. That means my pyro fuse hasn't gone. However, we need more charge. Right, let's try again. Come on. Why is it not starting at all now? Oh yes! I'm so happy that the car starts and runs. That has literally saved me about £15,000 because that is the cheapest that I can find another engine. So I've put up a whiteboard for this build because, yeah, I'm going to have to keep track of money spent because I think this one is going to be an expensive build. Luckily, I don't think we need to add engine to that price list. Gearbox, however, remains to be seen. So you would have seen how much I won the Cayman GT4 for at the auction at the beginning of the video. However, that did not include fees. So I'm just going to double check. So the amount I actually paid for it, including fees back on the fees and all that, was actually £32,566.00. So that is the cost of the car as it stands. Obviously I haven't bought any parts yet, but obviously that list is going to grow substantially, and that is our opening balance. Now I'm going to start things off just by removing this front wheel just to see how bad the damaged rim is, and also the hub. It's actually not that bad. So I contacted an alloy repair shop just to see on the off chance if that could be repaired. And it was a big fat no, but it was worth a try. So now my first objective with this car is to get it moving, to get it rolling, to be able to basically not be stuck on the ramp. So yeah, we need to address these front left wheel and this near side rear wheel as well. Now I've tried something and I don't know if it's going to pay off or not, but we need to strip the offside rear to find out.
Cool, this is, I'll tell you what, this is very light. I'm gonna say almost half as light as a steel disc. That's mad.
Now, the reason I wanted to strip this side is because I've bought something that's not for this car. Well, not really. So this is actually off a 718 GT4, so the newer model. But looking online and cross-referencing part numbers, I couldn't find a single difference between the two. I mean, fundamentally, they may not be different at all. I mean, they're both GT4s, probably haven't changed much from the 981 to the 718, so they could be identical. The only thing that I was slightly worried about was that I saw that this the hub here was slightly different from this one, as you can see. But fundamentally, I've had a look over it, all the measurements, they look identical fitment wise, and like bolt positioning and hub positioning, etc. It just looks like it's just a different flange on the end here. So I think this will be okay. Now, that also led me on to a rear wheel as well. So this is obviously if we just get it under here, you can see on the inside of the rim, 11J20H2 ET50. Now, again, looking online, I can't find any 981 parts for the GT4, which doesn't really make sense because it's been out 7-8 years now. There only seems to be used 718 parts. Considering they've only been out 2 years, I found that a bit odd. But again, I found a 718 GT4 rear alloy. So this is a 718 GT4 alloy. It does need a repair. It has been curbed here, but it was cheap. I will reveal the price for this wheel and the hub once I know that we can actually use them. So just having a look at the inside. Again, it is an 11J20H2, so it's identical, and an ET50 as well. So the wheel is identical to the 981, just matte black. And we also need a tyre as well, and I found one. It is a part one for now, but it's an identical tyre to the one that's on the offside rear, even down to the tread depth. So if a lot of the 718 GT4 parts carry over, that will be a big plus, purely because there just seems to be a lot more parts available for the 718. Go figure. Now, other problems we're going to have is like all this wiring. I mean, I'm missing the whole loom on the near side rear, and if we can see there, it tucks behind this panel here. Also, our brake line has, on the other side, it's sheared off just here as well, so that is really frustrating. So if we go round, so that main wiring harness should come out of here, and if I put my finger down there, I can feel wiring. So let's get this trim off and have a look behind there. And yeah, I'm going to try and fit the hub into this position. We might even be able to get the wheel on, but we also need to have a look at that drive shaft. Oh, I'll tell you what, we might have had an absolute touch on the wiring. Just behind here, look, a nice connector block, and they've obviously unplugged, or it's ripped out, one or the other, but it looks like we can just buy a loom that plugs straight into here, and then that supplies all of our near side rear corner. So that couldn't have been, if it is what I think it is, that couldn't have been any better. To get a better understanding of what I'm dealing with the near side gearbox flange, I need to take out the right side drive shaft just to see if there is a bolt there or what, because at this point I have no idea. So I need to find out. So looking at the gearbox flange here, now I don't know if you can see it, but there isn't actually a bolt holding it in. So I don't know if it's just a push fit or there's a circlip. So what I've done is I just phoned Porsche Sensor Service, and I got them to look up that gearbox flange, and they sent me the diagram. I'll put a picture up of it now, and there is no bolt, there's no circlip or anything. So fingers crossed it is just literally a push fit, and if it is, then that literally could save potentially having the gearbox out and a potential rebuild of the gearbox. So I have ordered that part. I'm going to stick it on the board now. It's £147. I know it's expensive for basically like a little flange that does nothing really, but it is what it is. And we're underway. Right, so now I'm going to move the snapped off arm here. Oh, I've got grease on my hands already. And the snapped part on the suspension. I'm going to try and offer up the new part, and just to see if it works basically. And there we have it. The 718 hub and wheel have been offered up and they fit great. All looks good, can't find any issues, and I've just compared it with the offside rear and everything looks spot on. Obviously we've still got an arm missing here, so it does do that at the moment, but I can't see any damage or anything like that. So literally a straight arm replacement should rectify that. We have got some more issues with the shock wiring, if that can be fixed, etc. But for now, yeah, really happy with the progress there. Once we get a tyre on that and that arm in, this wheel then will be rotating and it will be movable. So yeah, happy with that. I've now just got to find a new hub for the front one as well. There's so much more content to come from this build. I mean, we've just scratched the surface mocking up a wheel just so we can get it rolling. We've still got the front to do and all this colossal damage on the rear as well, which is going to be loads of body panels, and it's just going to be an awesome process. The primary objective of today's video is to get this driving. I want to get it driven off the ramp under its own power. And to do that, we're going to have to finish off this rear corner. We're going to have to change the hub on the near side front, as well as a new tyre and alloy and a steering arm that's broken. Obviously, you can see once we get the tyre on here, we're going to have issues with some bodywork that's been pushed backwards, and then the exhaust, so that needs to come off, and a few bits of bodywork here which will need to come completely out as well. And also that drive shaft flange that I ordered from Porsche, I'm hoping that will turn up at some point in today's video. And I have also bought a drive shaft for it as well, so we can get that fitted as well. So fingers crossed, we should get a lot done. Because yeah, that's one of the reasons why I want to turn the car around, because I haven't really got much room to work with here to be able to pull this out. I would ideally want it on the other corner, the opposite corner, so basically the car driven onto the ramp. But for now, I need to be able to get this wheel and tie it on, so we do need to probably remove the exhaust system, and I might be able to get away with just removing the trims and the exhaust heat shield, to be fair. So concentrating on this near side front corner just for a little bit, we have the snapped hub here as well. So we need a whole new hub for the near side front as well, and also an inner tie rod end. The actual track rod is fine itself, it's the inner tie rod end that is snapped. I have ordered one of those, it should be turning up at some point in today's video. And also, if you remember, I actually fitted the near side hub was from a 718 GT4. Now looking at everything, all the numbers matched up and it fit exactly the same as well on that. So I've done it again. I've actually ordered another front hub from a GT4 718, but this time the part numbers are identical. It is a 981 part number. It's actually a 991 part number, sorry, it's not even a 981. So these hubs are actually from a GT3 and they cross over to the GT4 and obviously the 981 GT4 as well. When I was ordering the gearbox flange from Porsche yesterday, I did ask about how much the ceramic discs would be and a caliper for this car. Get ready, because it ain't cheap. So weirdly, the rear disc, even though it's slightly smaller, was more expensive than the front. £3,600 for the rear disc, £3,500 for the front. What's that? 7,100. And then we've got the rear caliper was about 850. So what's that? 79.50. So just under £8,000 for 2 discs and 1 caliper. Doesn't include the pads for the rear either. So we'd have to get a full set. Now, this doesn't seem to be as bad as it looks. The hub is pretty much snapped in half, as you can see, but other than that, there isn't much damage. The caliper seems to be fine, although the bolts for the caliper are slightly bent. I guess that's because the hub's snapping in half. The inner tie rod end we have to remove because that is severely bent and also snapped, so we do need to replace that. With the near side front suspension now all stripped down, we need to order parts. Let's move our attention to the rear of the car to be able to get that wheel on. So we need to remove the rear bumper, rear crash bar, heat shields, tail lights, interior trims, and to do all that, we'll start with the rear bumper. And once we've got that off, we can get the tail lights off, and to do that, we need to remove the interior trims of the car. But I did have a problem on the near side left because you can see, look, it's really squashed in the chassis and I can't actually remove the carpet, it's completely squashed. So I won't be able to remove that until we get our dozer on the car and start pulling it out. The near side tail light, I had to just smash out. But yeah, can't get that carpet trim out. Well, I thought I'd jump in for an update. I am currently stuck at the moment trying to get this floor pan out because it's completely squashed in, well, this little corner piece here is literally squashed up into the wheel arch, and it's squashed me floor pan, and I can't actually get it out. I've tried. I've just about managed to get the back piece out, but I can't get this piece out. So I'm at the point where I can start stripping this off. I've also noticed my chassis leg is very badly bent here, which Yeah, look at it. That is not good. I don't know if we can have a quick look under here, look. Yeah, that ain't good at all. So I'm not gonna worry about it for the minute because I haven't seen the full extent of the damage. Before I start taking too much more off, I need to pull it out with the, I mean, I've got a dozer. It's not very good if I'm honest, but I'm gonna try and use it because that's all I've got. Ideally I want a jig. But I'm gonna try and pull this corner piece out here just so we can start getting it back to some sort of shape before we start cutting, drilling, etc. To set my dozer up, I need to clamp it on the seals of the car, and the seals, if you look under here, are not really exposed. So looks like I'm gonna have to take off the side skirts, both sides, and the floor pan, which isn't ideal because it's not even a side skirt, it's the whole panel. So I'm gonna have to remove both of those panels, it looks like, and some of the flooring to be able to get the dozer set up properly. So that's where I'm at the minute. So I'm gonna get the car up in the air and just see if we can remove those easy enough.
Removing the exhaust isn't too bad. There are 2 bolts on each side going to the manifolds, and they were very difficult to undo, to be fair, because they were very rusty. One side, the off side, I couldn't undo at all, so I ended up having to cut the exhaust off, but as it's scrap, it didn't matter. There was a few brackets to get. Of the off side, the brackets were easy to undo. The near side, they were crumpled, so again, I had to get my grinder out and cut them off. But once we got all those out, the exhaust pretty much fell down. Well, it did. It fell on me. But that is a good chunk of the damage now removed from the rear.
Now we are getting there. We've exposed most of the rear end. I just need to get this heat shield off now to actually expose the body panels themselves. It's going to be a bit tricky here because they are right squeezed up inside themselves. I mean, you can't even see it, but there's a bolt there I've got to try and get undone. And there's another one, I'm not even sure. So I might end up having to cut sections off to get it out, or just rip it out.
Now, I noticed a lot of you were saying in the comments that change the PCCB system, you don't need ceramic brakes, just change them to the steel brakes, which was actually a standard fit option on the GT4 anyway. PCCB was a very expensive optional upgrade. And yeah, you're right, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna be spending 8 grand on 2 discs and a caliper at all. So I have managed to already source, and I've just gone and collected them, a set of used front standard 981 GT4 brakes.
And interestingly, I've bought the calipers over here to have a look, and I thought they would be a bit different, but fundamentally they look identical. The only difference I can actually see, I mean, they're both 6-piston, they're both exactly the same size, there's no difference in size. The only thing I can see that's different is the mounting point here. Look, it seems to have an additional, it's just an additional bit here, look. See, it's a bit flatter there, look. Almost like an inbuilt washer. I'm guessing that's just to accommodate the bigger disc. That is my guess. Again, same with the rears, look, they're just a bit more pronounced on the brackets, on the fitment. So yeah, I'm just assuming that's just because of the bigger discs, but otherwise they are identical. And I've already offered up the rear disc, look, so this has come off a car that's done only about 8,000 miles. Ironically, it came off another GT4 that had been a Cat S.
So a big thanks to a guy called Malk who messaged me on Instagram and sorted me out with a really good price on these rear discs, 4 calipers and all brake pads as well. Now he's got a business called Rent a Rim where you can rent track day rims and tyres. Now so you click the link in my description, I'll give you a link and you can go and check him out.
And I've got the front discs over here as well. They're not the standard fitment, they are slightly upgraded floating discs, but otherwise they are the same. So what I'm going to do quickly is, this is the only corner that actually doesn't need to be touched at all. So I'm going to now just take off the ceramic disc and the caliper and completely fit the new disc and caliper just to make sure we've got no issues and everything's going to fit fine.
Well, I'm not going to lie, I've come in, nice new week, Monday morning, and I've had an absolute disaster from start to finish.
So over the weekend, yeah, it's a bit of a mess at the minute because I've been gathering loads of parts for the car. I've got a load of brake discs there. I've got a box full of calipers and all sorts there as well. And I've just been going through, I've also got my new hub for the near side front. I've got a drive shaft down there. I've got my flange, which I've kind of inserted into the gearbox. And yeah, my calipers over there, as you've seen. Yeah, and nothing has gone right, not one thing. So My discs, they're not OEM discs, they're actually like upgrade floating discs, and yeah, they were supposed to be for the GT4, but I've got them, tried fitting them, and they're completely wrong. Yeah, just the surface area was all wrong, and the pads were hitting the bolts here, so they just don't fit at all. The rear discs I've got are fine, so they're absolutely fine. All the 4 calipers that I've got are all absolutely fine. My problem is just with the discs.
Now, I thought I got a great deal, £300 for a full set of discs, basically. And yeah, they're the wrong ones. And I cannot find any others online at all. So I have just gone and ordered 2 from Porsche at, I think it was just under £1,000 for 2 discs. I mean, I could hang around and wait to see if any come up online, but the trouble is I need them because to be able to move the car around, I need brakes. So I've just ordered them. I mean, once I get a definitive price, because I think it's just under £1,000, I'll put it up on the board, but I have ordered them to collect. So I can't fit the calipers or any of them. What else have we got? The hub. I went to fit my hub and realized that my steering arm that I've left it in my car, my car's not here. I took it down to, anyway, it's not here, put it that way. So I can't even fit that either. So I've done well there as well. And then moving on to the drive shaft flange. I cannot press it into the gearbox. Now I've tried just pushing it in. It goes so far. It's got like 1 inch to go still, but I just cannot get it to go any further. Don't know if you can see the flange. There you go, look. So it's about 1 inch, look, it's got to go in. I've even tried using my 10-ton ram to like press it in off of this, but I didn't do it too hard at all because it just wasn't going in. And I don't want to break it. So can anyone help me here? Like, is it supposed to be just pressed in? I mean, I've watched a couple of videos of people just like pulling them up with their hands and just pushing them in. This one doesn't do that at all. It has located in the splines, but it just will not go in any further. So I can't fit my drive shaft. Oh, and the drive shaft I cocked up on as well. So I ordered that for a 981 GT4. Didn't even read the description. I have no idea why. Just bought it. And it's damaged beyond repair. CV boot, CV joint is knackered, it won't rotate, it's all knackered inside. And then I read the description, spares or repairs. I have no idea why I bought it, so I can't even send it back. And the next cheapest one is £500, and I paid £85 for that. And also the wiring loom that I bought from here is wrong, so I need to go change that at Porsche as well when I pick up the disc tomorrow. I mean, so today has literally just been a complete disaster. I'm 1,500 quid down. On where I was this morning, or where I thought I was going to be, and I have done absolutely nothing. I've done nothing today because just everything has been a cock up. So I'm going home. Right, I've come in this morning, new day, new me, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Yesterday was just one of those days where absolutely nothing went to plan, and yeah, I'm sure you could tell it was really annoying me. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate to days like that. But come on, good day, let's go.
So I've just gone over to Porsche and picked up 2 brand new front discs. So I'm going to fit them first. I've also got my inner tie rod as well, so I can do the steering. Right, let's start by getting this old disc off and the nice shiny new one on.
So finally we can start making some progress and start by building up the offside front brakes. Now we've got brand new discs, the calipers fitted, absolutely no problems at all. Moving over to the near side front, we first put our tie rod end in, that went in absolutely no problems, and then we can get our suspension hub, which is complete with a wheel bearing. This come off a 718 GT4, but again, it's a complete straight swap. So getting all that bolted on, really easy, no problems whatsoever, and we can also fit our new brakes and calipers on to the near side front as well, and all we've got to do is set up our tracking, and that is that done.
Now I'm just about to install my tie rod end, and because obviously it's a new one, it needs to be completely set up on a 4-wheel alignment. But for now, I just want to get it in the best possible position. And to do that, I've set the steering wheel so it's dead in the center. Just checked this side, making sure, like, I know I don't have a wheel on, but the disc is pointing as like natural straight ahead as possible. And now I just need to do the same with this one, which I think, hard to tell because it's inside the arch, but let's just have a better look here. There you go, that's probably a better look. So I think that's pretty much straight ahead. And then roughly the hole is here. As you can see, it's going to sit like that, so I just need to unscrew it a few turns just so it sits about there. Yeah, I reckon that's good. About there. So I'll stick it in, and that just gives us, so we can drive it down basically without the tracking being too far out. So when we get it properly forward aligned, it won't be too far out. Okay, so wish me luck here. My drive shaft, which is knackered, I've actually just bolted to the flange, and I've moved this hub out the way, and I'm just going to try and hammer it in because I don't know what else to do. It's clearly just a push fit, but I can't get any access to do it, so I'm just going to use an 85-pound extension rod and try and hammer it in. So I have no idea how this is going to go at all. It just ain't going in at all. I can't even get it out now either. Oh, I don't know with this one. Don't know how you're supposed to put it in. So I've just managed to get the flange back out, and you can see where it's just sat, well you can't see, but it's just sat in the splines a little bit because it's turning the gearbox over. But you can see here where it's getting up to and just not going any further. So you can see how much further it's got to go. It's about 1 inch. But I just cannot get it to go any further. Now it's not making any marks or anything like that, look. They all clean up. So I have no idea how I'm supposed to get it in because it won't press in, can't even hammer it in. So anyone in the comments that has done one of these before or know how you're supposed to do it, let me know because I can't drive it until I can get this bloody flange in. So yeah, if anyone knows, please give us a shout. Right, so apart from that drive shaft, we are making good progress now. That is actually this near side front corner fully fixed. All we need now is to put a wheel on it. Obviously, all the brakes need bleeding properly, but we won't do that until one of the last things because the brake line for that side is damaged, and also we've got a lot of bodywork to do to that yet before we put the brakes on. So apart from the brakes needing bleeding, this corner is now fixed. Brakes are all on, and the brakes and caliper are on the offside front as well. So that is actually the front end done. So anything past sort of like this point here is, oh no it's not, the bumpers needs repairing. Okay, a little bit of body work, but mechanically front end is done. Calipers on the rear, so that's good. And also you would have seen that everything is out the way to be able to get a wheel and tyre on here. And I've just put my new link bar here. So that is, this wheel will stop it now from flapping around. So we can get the wheel and tyre on there, so we can basically just push it, because yeah, I ain't gonna drive that with one drive shaft missing. So we had to push it outside, turn it around and get it back in.
So mechanically we are almost there, apart from the drive shaft and this near side rear issues, but parts wise we've pretty much got everything. Now I've got some more bad news. The near side rear alloy I bought for the car here actually cannot be repaired. Now I bought it as a spares or repair needing refurbishment. It didn't look too bad from the pictures, but after taking it to a specialist, they said that it actually can't be repaired because the damage was so severe. It was really bad dent. I've already taken the package of the wheel back up, so I can't show you, but it was so badly dented on top of one of the spokes. He said by straightening it, he would actually just cause more stress fractures. Can't say that word. Stress. Oh my God. It would cause more stress. Oh, I can't do it. It would cause more stress. This is a joke. More stress fractures. That was difficult. Stress fractures. Stress fractures by trying to repair it and therefore just make it weaker. And he goes, if you're going on Ford Fiesta, then yeah, might have repaired it, but on the rear of a GT4, no, he wouldn't recommend it. So that is going to completely scupper my plans of trying to get the car rolling. Obviously, I don't actually have a near side front alloy either, so I don't know why I was being so presumptuous that I was going to get it rolling today. So yeah, it's kind of stuck. But don't worry, I have bought a set of aftermarket alloys and they shall be here tomorrow. So in the next video, we will get the car rolling. So let's just have a tot up of money spent so far. So 2 front discs from Porsche were £900. They actually did me a very good deal. They should be, I think, just over £1,000 actually. The rest of the brakes, the 2 rear discs and all 4 calipers was £2,000. 2 front tyres, part warns, £70. That front hub,
was 350. That rear track beam was £200. And believe it or not, new, that tiny little straight bit of track that does absolutely nothing was 370 quid. The rear tyre, 65 quid plus 15 delivery, so that's 80. The rear hub, 325. And the drive shaft, right, so I think that's where we're up to at the moment. So you would have seen from the previous video that my front alloy, yeah, is no good. Didn't see that massive hole when I bought the car, so unfortunately I can't reuse that alloy. And GT4 alloys are actually really hard to find. I have found a set of alloys. Now, the fronts are okay. The rears, I'm gonna have to run spacers just because the offset it's about 10 mil difference. So I'm gonna have to run 10 mil spacers on the rear, but just look how good these look. They look epic, don't they? Now the fronts are actually going to sit about ½ centimetre further out than the standard alloys, which is fine, but the rears are actually 1 centimetre in. And because of that, I've kind of loosely put the wheel on, but it's hit it's solid, and it's hit the suspension strut. If you can see there, look at the top, look, just because the offset of the alloy is further out, which means the top of the rim is further in, by 1 centimetre. So I'm gonna have to run 10 mil spacers just to bring this wheel back out, so it's back to a standard width, and then obviously clears the suspension strut. But yeah, they look epic. I'm proper happy with these. So these are Oz HLT in gloss black. I was unsure at first. So basically these are 1,800 quid, and they came all with tyres as well. Now to give you an idea, I was actually looking at getting these brand new in silver with the correct offsets, but you're looking at £2,900 just for the alloy. So yeah, really happy that I managed to find these second hand. Yeah, just need to run some spacers on the rear. So yeah, really happy with that. Let's just put alloys, 1,800 alloys. So leaving off from the last video, we are going to tackle this gearbox spline first. I do want to get the car driving. I do want to be able to drive off the ramp if I can. So yeah, I have measured the depth of it. There's nothing stuck in it. The old one hasn't snapped off or anything like that. It is all definitely pulled out. The depths are exactly the same, so it should go all the way in, but it doesn't. So what I'm going to do now is remove the drive shaft from this side and try and get that flange out, and then just, yeah, compare. I mean, a lot of you guys in the comments as well, just compare the difference, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, it's just really not going in. Slide hammer installed. Let's see if I can get this one out. Oh, there's the bearings. Well, I mean, that don't want to come out either. There we go. Got it. So we've got it out, and it is identical to the new one, so they obviously are the same part. Now looking at it now, you can see straight through the gearbox and out the other side, and it looks identical. There's definitely nothing stuck in there. It's the same both sides. So yeah, for some reason it's just obviously being a very difficult fit. Now I guess, do I try and put the other side back in and see how easily it goes in? You watch it now. I won't be able to get the other side in now. I'm gonna have two stuck. So I have now actually just got that other side back in. It was quite easy just to knock in, as you'd predict. Just a little knock with a hammer, and it went in absolutely fine. So there's definitely an issue with this side. Really frustrating. No matter what I do, it just will not go in. And I've looked in there with a borescope. Everything seems absolutely fine. So I have no idea what's going on or why it won't fit. The other flange is exactly the same as this one. It just doesn't fit in this side. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is take off the side of the diff and just see if we can pull it out and have a, I really don't know. But I do wanna get to the bottom of this before I really proceed, if I'm honest, just because, gearbox being an issue is quite a big job, and I'd rather it not be an issue. So I am going to try and concentrate on this for the moment. So I'm going to remove the bolts of the outer casing, drain the oil, and yeah, just see if we can get it out. I don't know. Let's have a look.
Removing the diff was actually surprisingly easy. All I had to do was remove the under tray. There was 2 beam supports that went on each side as well. Drop the gearbox oil and remove the T45s from the gearbox casing, prise the casing off, and the diff literally just pulls out. And thankfully, there was enough room for it to just slip out, and I didn't have to remove anything else.
I'll just take the whole diff out. Oh, go on that. There we go. Right. So I've got the differential out here, and I don't think you can see it, but yeah. I'll try and get a picture because you won't be able to see it on here, but yeah, my splines are actually damaged inside there. I can see it better now. So what it looks like to have happened is the flange. So when the car crashed, the flange, I reckon, got ripped out, but not all the way. And maybe the wheel kept spinning, and it's just basically worn away the last little bit of the flange. And that is why I can't get it to locate, because it's damaged. It doesn't look like it's only damaged like the last 10%, but it's that 10% that I need to get the splines located in, that's what I cannot do. So I'm faced with the problem here of potentially replacing the diff. I don't know if it's a part that can be replaced. I don't know. At this point, as you can see, I'm going to just strip this down. I don't know anything about gearboxes, so please ignore everything I do. I've never actually done anything to do with gearboxes, so I'm just going to start undoing bolts and see what happens.
Now, I had no idea what I was doing here, so I was just a case of removing all bolts that I could see, and hopefully something would present itself that meant I could strip it down further. And yeah, that's exactly what happened.
There we go. Just after removing this crown gear here, or the main gear here, there was 2 little Allen key bolts, and this top bit come off, and now you can see the extent of the damage to the threadlet. So as I say, it's like the last 10% of the whole thread that's damaged, and that was what was stopping me from being able to insert that flange. Now, I don't know how to get this out, so bear with. Also, I don't want to get this wrong either. Don't want to get things in the wrong order. I don't know if this even comes out, does it? Right, it might do. Aha! Yes! There we go, look. Right. Oh my god, right, this is the part where I really don't want to get it wrong. I wonder if I can just repair that, you know? Because as I say, it's the last 10%, so if I can get the flange in from this side and create the grooves again, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so I have no idea whether this is going to work or not, but basically I've just got my gear cog here, and I've just flipped it over, and I've hammered it basically onto my drive shaft flange to kind of push out the damage. So basically do it on the reverse side. So now I need to try and just pull this off and see if that's worked or not. Right, so I've managed to get it on the right way round, and this is taking me about 2.5 hours to get to this stage. So let me just take it back off and I'll show you what I've done. So here is our little spur gear, and if you have a look down there, look, you can see all the splines are now perfectly clean. All the grooves, look, there's no longer any debris or metal in any of the grooves. It literally looks like new now, apart from the fact that I know it's slightly less surface area on the last 10%, but let's be honest, it's not really going to affect it, I don't think. And there's still actually grooves there, even where I've chiseled out the rubbish, there's still grooves there, look. It's just very slightly shallowed out a little bit, but yeah, 2.5 hours. And that is because I slotted it in the vise here, used this tiny little screwdriver, and was basically just hammering the grooves to get all the metal burr out, and yeah, 2.5 hours. But it worked! I'm just going to put my circlip back on, and then wish me luck. We're going in. Moment of truth. You are going to bloody go in, you absolute beauty. Come on. Ah, beautiful. Oh, I'm absolutely right. Okay, I'm not going to get too carried away because I've still got the other side to do. That hasn't been problematic so far, but knowing my luck, that's now going to be problematic. But let's get that in and then we'll rejoice. Yes, I'm fully aware that you can't see anything. I can barely see anything, but you'll know if it goes wrong. Can't really get in here. We're in. We are in. Absolutely. Get in. Come on.
Oh, I'm absolutely buzzing that that worked. Now, I was getting quite concerned about that issue because before I took the diff out, I was thinking, oh no, how is this going to be resolved? But anyway, took the plate off, got the diff out. I don't know anything about gearboxes and diffs, so I did phone a few people and asked, like, ballpark, is it repairable? I'll send you some pictures. One person just didn't want to know. Second person went, yeah, you can't get parts for the diff on the Cayman GT4. You have to buy a whole new gearbox. You can't even buy the diff separately. So if you'd have taken that into Porsche with that problem, they would have said, no, you need a new gearbox. And the gearbox was
£9,106.42 with the surcharge involved.
Is that plus or including VAT?
Including.
Including VAT. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
£9,100 plus fitting, which was another 1,500 quid. So you owe over £10,000 to fix something I fixed for free. Absolutely mental. So I'm now going to put the rear end back together.
So we're now done with this offside corner, so I'm going to put that drive shaft back in, do it all properly back up, and get this corner back to normal. Right, so I've managed to get the broken drive shaft in. I ended up removing 4 of the 6 balls in the joint, just so I could get it so it moves, so I could then obviously get the car on the floor and drive it out. However, I'm not happy with it. Like, it will turn and then it will just notch up, like there. Look, it's notching up, and it kind of forces the, and I just don't want to ruin the gearbox. It's not worth it. So unfortunately, I ain't going to be using that. So I'm not going to be able to get the car out because I don't have a nut on the end either, which I didn't realise. I thought I had a nut in with the drive shaft, but I don't. So I can't even get the car on the floor and pushed out. So for now, I am just going to try and hook the dozer up, and if I can get enough room here, try and pull some of these panels out. Now, I managed to do it without taking the side skirts off, even though I'm definitely going to have to take this all off anyway. But this is what we've got here. We've got our 2 clamps, one on each side, and it just clamps the sill here. So I've just removed the under trays here. But as you can see, the side skirt is fairly flexible, so I just pushed it up a little bit and clamped it on. So I've done the same on the other side, clamped it on, and the idea is now...
And those holes there act as a counter hold. So the bar goes through the middle, and when I'm pushing on against the bar, it just stops the car from pulling backwards. So when we're trying to pull the panels out, it holds the car in place, basically. I've only used it a handful of times, and it's not been very good. It doesn't hold onto the chassis rails very well. That's how I've found it, because there's only one point of contact each side, whereas on a proper jig, you'd have one on each corner. But we'll give it a go. Hopefully that these are quite thin, so they shouldn't take much force to pull out. So yeah, let's just lower it back on the ground and get it all set up.
Right, I just went straight ahead and set it all up. Didn't do it on camera because it was taking too long. But I'll just show you the setup quickly. This is a dozer. So we know we've got the bar going across the middle. You saw our supports we put on to hold it to the chassis. That is our beam there that pushes up against that as our counter hold to stop the car from being pulled as well. And then we've got our long beam here with our arm, and that we can wrap around the chain, put it under there, and the idea is then you use the jack here, or the press, sorry, to then press this out, and it pulls this arm back, and then it should pull out your damage. Now, I've just started pumping So let's see what happens. I haven't had good experience with this thing, but let's give it another go. And that is the problem with the dozer. It just lets go of the grip at the back. And that's the problem I've always had with it. Right, I'm gonna have another go, and I've used this long bar here to counter hold that against the machine now, so hopefully that shouldn't then slide, which means we should now be able to pull it a bit better.
Now, to prep for removing the rear quarter of the car, I need to remove the side window, and I just thought I'd have a look to see how easy it came out. And it came out surprisingly easy. There was just 2 bolts and a couple of clips. And also we needed to remove the rear windscreen with rear boot lid as well, which again was just 2 bolts, which was under the headlining, and the whole thing just popped off. So yeah, they went pretty well.
So removing that side window wasn't actually too bad. It was just held on with 2 bolts, believe it or not, here and here, and then a couple of clips and a little bit of bond at the top there. But yeah, not too bad. Now we're gonna, I'm gonna leave the this bit for the moment, and I'm gonna concentrate. I've just pulled away some of the side skirt as well. I'm gonna concentrate on just removing some of the rear sections. So like this back panel, I'm gonna remove the crash bar. It's the only thing I couldn't straighten, the crash bar. You can see where I've pulled the other bits out, and it's just pulled it away from itself. But the box section is fairly intact. Obviously, this corner bit would be normally like here. So I'm going to remove as much as I can here. It's just going to be a lot of drilling now, and that is going to be, yeah, the fun part. Hours and hours of drilling and a few bolts. So yeah, just going a bit of an overview. I've pulled out as much of this as I can, and it's pretty much, obviously it's not straight, but it's pretty much where it would normally sit, albeit very creased. The only thing I couldn't get round was just the inside bit here. Look, it's still squashed there, and I couldn't pull it out, but we will be replacing that anyway. So the next stage, yeah, is just loads of drilling. I've undone my bolts. I'm all prepped, ready to start drilling. And then, yeah, we're gonna start then cutting out this rear quarter.
The aim here is to carefully remove the spot welds from the right-hand side panel, because this panel isn't actually damaged. So what I'm doing here is just grinding off all the seam sealer that goes over the welds, so then I can drill them out with the drill, and then we can carefully remove that panel without damaging anything. Oh, and then I decided to actually just cut it out.
So as you can see, I've actually cut a section of the boot floor out, and that is, the reason I did that is because obviously this bit is scrap, but it attaches to part of the body which isn't scrap. Now, I don't want to damage any of this, so I thought if I just take the pressure away of the damaged section, and then it leaves me with like a nice free little bit just to be able to chisel off and not impact anything else. I mean, it made sense in my head. So I've actually ordered an air chisel, which should be here tomorrow, and I'm going to use that to obviously then chisel out this panel and hopefully be able to just remove this from here and all around the back here without it affecting anything else. So moving on to this section. Now this is where it gets a bit tricky, and that's because my new panels haven't turned up yet, so I don't know where they're going to attach. I don't know how much comes with what. I don't know what comes with what. So with taking this apart, I don't know what to take off or what to cut out. So that is where I'm a bit stuck. So what I might do is just get the grinder and cut out this quarter panel, just the skin, take the skin off so we can have a better understanding of what panels are attached where and how, and then maybe I can just start taking off the obvious damaged bits Yeah, I mean, that's the best I can really offer at the moment. Without these new panels, it's just really hard to tell what is attached to where, because, for example, you've got rivets along here. So is it attached to here? Or you've also got rivets along here. So does it all come, is this just a one piece, or does it come down and attach to here? They're the questions I need answers to, and I don't have the answers to at the moment. And also, I don't want to spend hours trying to remove certain parts when I just realised I could have just cut the whole lot out in a one foul sweep. So yeah, it's a bit tricky at the minute. Right, I'm making some progress, starting to get down to the body parts to see what I need. Yeah, and it's still quite difficult. I'll put screenshots up of the parts available to buy, and that's what I'm kind of using at the minute to see what I need to remove / cut out. So this part is fairly straight cut, straightforward. It's literally just welded onto this wheel arch bit here, and it only goes from to here. Over to that join there, so it's quite a simple piece, that bit. We need this part here, which I think from the picture joins roughly here. So whether we join it here or I don't know, but that's that bit that comes down to here and goes around here. We've got our wheel arch, which is, because there's two pieces. I've just drilled a hole there to see if it's double skinned, and it is. So you've got a bit that goes on top of, oh, it's quite complicated, but you've got this bit here, look, basically, which goes on top of the wheel arch, and then you've got the part under it, which is actually all this box section here. So all of this bit. I mean, that's how the picture's reading anyway. The only thing I was a little bit unsure of is this gully, because it's hard to tell. So you've got this bit here, look. This bit here that goes all the way up to there, and is it bolted on? No, I don't think it's bolted on. I think that's just a bolt. So, but this section here I cannot see on the diagram anywhere. So I didn't know if it was a separate part or not, or if it came with one of these parts, either this or the wing. So, yeah. That's something else I'm unsure of. So I don't want to start cutting things in the wrong place. This is pretty easy. So our chassis leg, which is bent, that literally joins here. You can see where it's actually a join anyway. So that should be pretty simple just to cut out. And then, yeah, we've got our floor pan and our back plate here. So I'm still waiting on my air chisel, so I don't want to take all that out until that turns up. Same with all these. I might start just see if I can grind the heads off of these, so they come off nice and easy tomorrow. But yeah, very hard to do when I don't know or don't have my new panels. Right, here we go. Massive progress. The whole rear quarter is now off. I have hit a bit of a, well, I say a bit, it's quite a big stumbling block. I will explain that in a second. But the chassis leg is off, and you can see it's actually a factory join. So the leg that I've bought actually bolts to this inner chassis leg, if you will, here, and it literally just welds on here. And as you can see, look, this bit is not damaged at all. So that is literally just going to be a straight swap, new part on there for the chassis leg. Everything else I've just cut off because I don't know how far back we need to replace things until the new parts turn up. However, the one big problem I've got is this gully here, which I mentioned earlier. I have now found it on Etka. It's not available anywhere in the world, and there isn't an update until April about its potential supply either. Now, this bit of gully here, it literally just goes back up and it joins at the roof. I think it might even go a little bit further than the roof. But yeah, it's not available anywhere in the world until at least April. And that's just an update in April as well. They could just say, no, can't get it. So I'm not too sure. I mean, it's not even that badly damaged. It's just a bit twisted. So I don't know if we're going to have to try and find a way of fixing this, straightening it so it can be used again. That may be our only option. So I'm really glad I didn't cut it off now, because obviously I didn't want to cut it until I knew what was going on, so that's a good shout. Now let's move on to the drive shaft issue, and it has become a big issue. It's actually the reason this video has taken so long to come out. So this one here, this back one, is the one off the right hand side. So that is our original fully functioning drive shaft. This drive shaft here is one that I bought. Now it come off a 718 GT4, and as I've bought loads of other parts, I've come off 718s and everything's been absolutely fine, including the hub. So I'm pretty sure this actually came off the same car. So the same hub that this would slot into is on my car. So I just thought, yeah, it'll be the same. Everything else has been the same. Job done. However, it's very slightly different. Now, if you look here, you can see the difference straight away. It's a bit thinner in this middle bit than it is here, but that is not the only difference. So if we put them like this, so I don't know if it's obvious on camera, but this drive shaft is ever so slightly bigger than this one, and I'm talking about 2 millimeters bigger. I have no idea why, but it is about 2 millimeters bigger, and for that reason, obviously the holes don't line up properly and I can't get the screws in, so I cannot use that drive shaft.
And that means I've got to be very specific with the drive shaft that this car needs. I can't just buy any old one, it has to be very specific. So there's none others for sale online at all secondhand. I went to Porsche and I got quoted £900. You can't buy the parts separately, so obviously I need the outer CV. Can't buy it separately, you have to buy the whole thing. Yeah, so 900 quid. But a lot of you guys said in the other comments as well about getting the broken one that I bought accidentally repaired instead. So that is exactly what I've done. And that is why this video has taken so long to come out, because I sent it away and I was waiting for it to come back. It has just come back. I've put it down somewhere. Where have I put it?
So if this works, this is going to turn out to be actually pretty good, because it will be, I paid 85 quid for this broken. That other the 718 drive shaft, I paid 470 for, and this has cost me £210 to be repaired. So plus your 85, just under 300 quid. So if this works, I've actually done all right in the end. Nice. Lovely jubbly. I don't know why, but I've gone for a matte black drive shaft. Don't know if they just do that just so it looks better, but I'm now matte black. However, if this is he's even cleaned me thread up, because if you remember, I was absolutely hammering the hell out of this thread, so they fully cleaned that up for me, so that's good. Ah, lovely job. Right, now that should be spot on, this. Come on, get it.
So now I've finally got my drive shaft. I'm just going to fit the whole thing, get everything back together so we can drive out of the workshop. And this is just me putting all the drive shafts back in, all the suspension arms that we've replaced, and getting the offside drive shaft in as well, putting everything back in. And also I'm filling up with 3 litres of gearbox oil, which I did off camera.
So we are ready to go for a start and hopefully a drive out the workshop. I've just opened the door. I've left the car on charge overnight, so we should be good there. I've put just under 3 litres of gearbox oil back in. I've had a haircut, so we are good to go. Fingers crossed she starts fine. I think she should be fine on that front. But it's the driving out of the workshop and get some proper nice pictures, and we'll show you the back end. And also I don't have any brakes because the brake line is actually snapped off on the near side rear, which means I can't put any brake fluid in the system, which means I have no brakes whatsoever. I have just connected because the parking brake on this is electronic, I have just connected the motor back up on the offside rear, so I'm hoping it will still work just on that one side. So if I do need to stop for any reason, I'm hoping I can just pull the button up and it'll work. So yeah, come on, let's go, let's get out of the workshop and see what she looks like.
Very loud. So yeah, that was ridiculously loud. A few problems. I can't put the handbrake on at all, and also I've just realised I've got no brake fluid, which means I potentially will have no clutch either. I've got clutch at the minute, but I don't know how long for. So this could be a bit of a disaster because the ground outside isn't flat. So if I start rolling downhill, I've got no way of stopping myself. So yeah. Oh, let's just send it. See what happens.
Yeah, so great news, I didn't crash. I managed to, as soon as I got out, it's a bit of a downhill slope, so I managed to put it in reverse and just basically use the clutch on reverse to slow myself down to a stop. I'm just gonna go put this block under it now to stop it rolling. It's rolling.
Oh, that scared the crap out of me. Right, so now she's all outside for the first time, and it drove, by the way, so it drove absolutely fine. I've still obviously got fluid in the clutch, so we didn't have any problems there. Definitely didn't have any brakes. I did actually try crimping the brake pipe, which is in there broken, but I think all the fluid's gone. They didn't do anything. But I don't know, what do you think to the wheels now? Now the car's obviously outside and sat on the wheels properly. I still think they're really good. I was quite surprised about the amount of people that said they didn't like the wheels, but I think they look really good in person. No, I'm really happy with those. So yeah, see the car for the first time. Looks good from this angle, it looks complete. The next thing we need to do now is obviously you need to wait for parts to come in. I will just go to the tally up on the board what we've spent up to date, and I won't quote all the parts for this until I've got an exact figure. I have bought and paid for them. It is around £5,500 of the parts I've had to order, but I don't necessarily need all of them, so that may be subject to change, but it's circa £5,500 of panels.
Yes guys, we are back on the Porsche Cayman GT4. Now I was going to do a nice little video of me driving out the container, but then I remembered I've actually got no brakes at all in the GT4, so trying to reverse it out and then coming down the ramps on my own without actually having to control the car is not going to be fun.
So I thought I've just set the ramps up, I'm going to pull it out myself. That might be more entertaining for you. So I thought while it's nice and sunny, I'll show you the parts that we've got outside. Now, these are the three main components that I've got, which should make up most of the rear end. Now, I'm just going to move that because I think that sits under that, or that sits in between. Oh, it's all confusing. I've ended up dragging it inside because you couldn't see anything in the sun. But those are my three parts here. So we've got our box section, the quarter panel, and sort of the little bit in between, which you're going to have to turn your screen sideways. So that should make up our rear end here, or our rear quarter, those three main bits. So let's go take a look. Oh, because we've got all this as well, look. Massive bit here that I probably don't need, so we may, I don't know yet. So let's go take a look at the car now, and it might give us a better idea of what we're doing. Because looking at this bit here, it may make sense if this is a natural join on the car to actually replace it as it is like this, but I know for a fact that that will not be a natural join. Right, so first thing we'll check out is this down here, because looking at it, yeah, this looks to be, look, you can see the lip there, a natural join. So we'll have to remove all this. Oh, that's easy. We'll have to remove all this, remove the side skirt fully, and it looks like we'll be replacing this whole panel here, which I do not believe this is part of. I think, no, it doesn't. This is just a skin over the top, so it will literally weld to here, look, and around here. So the new quarter panel roughly ends about here, so we're gonna have to obviously cut there and weld in the new bit. So we need to find a good point to do that. The new, because I think, yeah, so that's a new overlapping bit there. So again, we'll check the quarter panel to see if that actually goes up to there or not, because it might actually well do. So if it does, that can be again a factory join position, which is good. Now I did just have a look at the quarter panel and it looks like it ends about here. Oh no, I think it actually does come up to there actually. So I think it's going to be that factory bit there. So we're just going to have to, well, obviously cut it out there. So no, I think that'd be right.
So now I've got a little bit of a better understanding of what we're going to be doing. Let's get her in the workshop and start drilling, cutting, and just ripping it apart basically.
So this is going to be a nice, fun, long one for me. I'm going to have to be drilling for ages. I think the first thing to do while it's off the ramp is just remove this whole side skirt here. So then we'll put it on the ramp, we'll get it up in the air, and then yeah, it'll be a case of drilling out hundreds of little spot welds to remove the panels that we need to. So I need to go all down here as well, underneath that side skirt, all under there, and try and remove as carefully as I can the part that we don't need, and eventually cut the section here somewhere, and yeah, pull it all out. And yeah, I've got all these across to do as well. So I think I'm just going to put it on one big time lapse, and yeah, hopefully it will go all right. Right, so we're making really good progress. Got this massive bit panel off over here, which is over there. I'm really glad I bought an air chisel because it's just made life so much easier and saved me hammering, and actually keeps things from going out of shape as well. So I've managed not to twist or bend or break or anything of the original chassis. So at the minute, we need to replace this panel here, and I'm just trying to remove it from under this bracket here so we don't have to mess anything up with that. So as you can see, I'm just at the process of just trying to get this off. It wraps underneath this part here, which we are also replacing. So I'm just trying to figure out the best way, because I'm guessing there's probably going to be some spot things that you can see on there, look, under here. So it's just trying to find out the best way of removing this without breaking it. So we need to remove it up here, look, so we can see that's where our join is here. So I need to try and remove it from around about here downwards. So yeah, I'll figure it out, and yeah, let's keep going. I really tried my hardest not to remove this part here, because I was trying to, because we're replacing this panel under it, I was trying to remove it so it was in situ and wouldn't need to affect it. But unfortunately, underneath this panel, there's another little bracket, which you can probably see, this thing here. And to get that off, the welds were under, as you can see, look, 1 and 2, they were under that bracket. So there was just no way I was going to be able to remove it without taking that off. And I thought, instead of trying to remove it off of this, which looks like an absolute ball ache and end up making probably quite a bit of a mess, I thought a nice staggered cut here, look, and then we can weld that all back on and it'll be as good as new anyway. So that's what I've gone for. So I can now remove these 2 spot welds here and hopefully get this bloody panel off. Right, so I finally got that panel off, and there turned out to be a couple more actual rivets as well. So yeah, definitely needed to, unfortunately, cut that bit to get it off. Now, this is where we need to work out what to do, because obviously the damage, you can see this panel here was damaged in the crash, and you can see where I've cut it out. Now I have this panel here. Here it is, look, and as you can see, it is quite a big panel, and it goes all the way back, probably up to the bulkhead. But for me to actually fit that fully would mean I'd have to then start cutting out this main structure bit here, and God knows what else down in that gap there, and it is just not feasible, in my opinion, to be doing that. So I think the best thing that I can do is find a section, the best section possible, to cut it off and weld it in. And I think it's probably at this, the thinnest point, which is actually probably here, so we don't have to mess around with this bracket. And that would give us 2 ways of rigidity. So if we cut it at the thinnest point as well, so roughly here, and it will, so we can then weld it to the existing piece here, but it will also give us a little bit of an additional support, because it will still be welded to the main structure here as well. So yeah, I think that's the best way of doing it. So if we do a cut along here and then drill out these bits of rivets here and down here, and then we can fit this panel all normally and get it welded in just here. I think that's the best way of doing it. I don't really want to mess with this tower at all, but if there's only going to be sort of like 4 rivets there and a couple down the side there, it's probably the best way to do it. And anyway, this bit's thick enough here anyway, so I shouldn't impact that at all. It's just where, I mean, I don't know where it's going to end. If I start trying to go down there, it could be attached to another part, and yeah, it just wouldn't end. So for the sake of that, I think this is our best bet, just to cut it about here. So I was just lining up my chassis leg here, and I've noticed a slight problem, and that is we have a duplicate of parts. So this panel piece here is actually the same as this panel piece here. And as you can see, look, with the angles, it's the exact same piece. So I've got 2 pieces the same, and I don't need both. So I need to work out which one to get rid of. Now, I think it's obvious to get rid of this one. 2 reasons. One, because it's only held on with rivets at the top there, not top and bottom. And the other reason is we don't need this part anyway, so I would have had to have cut it off here anyway. So I might as well just drill through these rivets here and then just get rid of this whole section that we don't need. And also we're doing our cut here as well. So I think that makes the most sense. So just looking at the leg, the other side, the actual chassis leg here, look, is a part on its own. Look, it's not actually joined to the main structure, and we have that same part on this side. So it looks like what we've got to do is, I've just had a quick go, and it will do it. We have to kind of fit it over there, knock it on, and kind of slide it in like what I'm kind of doing here. But obviously you need to do it with 2 hands, not 1. So that's kind of what we got to do. So I've started cleaning up with a grinder all down here, look, so it's all nice and clean, ready to weld the new panels on. Done here as well, and all round here. So that is all done. The last thing I've really got to do is cut this section here to the right. It's gonna be quite tricky cutting this out here without damaging anything else. So that is the last thing we need to do. Now, the way I'm marking this up is definitely not the way to do it, but it's the only way I could really think of doing it. I'm sure you guys are gonna let me know if there's a much better way of doing it, but this is what I've got. So I've literally just done a cutout of the shape of the rear window, which is nicely around there, and I've made sure that the edge is exactly in line with where we need to cut it. So the idea is I now go over, stick that to the one I've already got, and that should give me the line here of where I need to cut. I mean, yeah, that should be close enough. What I'll probably do is come over like a mil or 2 over this line here, because I can always grind back a little bit if I need to. I can't add on. So yeah, I'm just going to cut down, and actually, if you look, it does end up bang on with this join here. So yeah. Right, so I've managed to actually cut this out without actually damaging too much of the other structure, so happy with that. So I've just managed to slide my new chassis leg on here, look, and if you look, it's the exact same as this other side here, which is obviously undamaged. So that is going to be a factory join, and as you can see, I've just slid it round here onto the side here, and it just slots nicely in that gap. So that will nicely be aligned. Well, it will be. We're actually going to. I'm actually going to try and fit the rear crash bar up to these now to see if it all fits. And there we go, look, I fitted a few more parts to build it up so you can have a bit of an idea of what it's going to look like. But yeah, it's starting to come together. So as I said, chassis leg went in perfectly, so did the crash bar. This panel here I've just rested in place just to make sure everything looks good, and it does. This rear panel here is a bit hard to rest because it kind of needs to come up a bit, but just getting a bit of an idea of how it's all going to sit. And then yeah, we've got our quarter panel here, which is going to nicely mate to the rest of the car. And yeah, just needs a little bit of adjustment, needs moving in a little bit down here, but you can get the idea of how it's going to go. So yeah, really happy with the progress of today's video. That is the hardest part done, so it should all be fun now. Now I'm not going to weld all this up myself. I'm going to get a professional welder in to do it, just because my welder, I've run out of gas for one, and I think I just prefer to get someone who does it for a living just to weld it all up properly. Right, so we managed to get it on. Annoyingly, I don't have nose lift on the GT4, but my makeshift dodgy ramp did the job just about well enough, and it was one of those where I had to just commit to it, otherwise that could have easily just spun out because it's rear-wheel drive. So driving up there, if I'd have dilly-dallied too much, that could have spun out, so I had to commit and just drive up it. But we got it on, and obviously really hope it's not going to rain today because I'm not waterproof. However, I think I'm going to just put the driver's door back on and just cable tie it maybe to the bucket seat just so it doesn't, I don't know, I think putting the door back on is probably the best thing to do. And then yeah, we've obviously got the Q7, I'm going to transport all the panels in that, and that's not coming off, I've already hammered that into position. And yeah, we're going to take over and it's going to get all welded up, guys. That's the plan anyway. Whether it goes like that, we'll find out.
So when I got there, the first thing we needed to do was assess all the different panels that we had and work out exactly what order they go in. And yeah, there's just no room for error here because most of the panels actually layer on top of each other. So to tack one into place, you need to tack others. So to check fitment, it was crucial that we got it right first time. And obviously fitting the first panel, we couldn't really check fitment until we'd fit the other panel. So it was really difficult to do this one. But luckily we just constantly measured things using the other side as well as a reference side. And yeah, it just went really well from start to finish. Everything just lined up perfectly straight away. And yeah, it was really enjoyable to actually put this thing back together. Now we had to use a mix of welding and structural rivets on this because some of the panels were aluminium, some of the panels were mild steel. So we had to weld where we could, and then we used structural adhesive and structural rivets where possible too. But all the panels that I removed from the Porsche were fully refitted with genuine new Porsche parts. So I'm just going to let you watch the rest of the time lapse and I'll speak to you in a minute.
Too loud. And there we go, guys. The rear quarter is all back on, and I am so happy with how this turned out. Better than I could have ever imagined. It just, everything went so well. Everything lined up perfectly first time. We didn't have to do any adjustments at all. It all just went together. Now, I mean, it's not 100% in position, the boot. There is still a little bit of adjustment, but it doesn't really need it because all the shuts are all absolutely spot on. Both sides, look. Everything's perfect. Everything just lined up. Now, I did have to go back on this. It was a little bit more difficult because the panels that we got, let me just cut that cable tie and undo this window stuff, and we'll have a look at exactly what's been done in a bit more detail. So let's just talk over exactly what's been replaced. You'd have seen in the previous video a while ago, I had all my panels. Now, it consisted of this main quarter panel here. We had this bit here, this bit here, which went in between the quarter panel and this box section down here. We had this back panel here, and we had the floor pan, and then we had inside the wheel arch here as well, and that is pretty much it. And then the quarter panel then kind of went over the whole lot,
and down here as well, and welded to the side. Now, where we had difficulty to start with was because not all the panels were the same. So this panel here was mild steel, but this panel here, no, this panel here was mild steel, but this box section here, this section and this section here, they were all aluminium. And obviously you can't weld mild steel to aluminium, so we could only use structural rivets. So I actually ended up going out and buying a proper structural rivet gun, which was very expensive, to do things properly. So the parts that we could weld, like here, look, for example, we welded. So the car was where we've blended into the body there, so it was welded there, and all these bits were spot welded as well, and all down, oh, I can't open the door in a minute, but all down the door shut was spot welded too. But the bit on the rear, which was aluminium, we had to structural rivet. So these have all been structural riveted here and also into the floor there, and we also used structural glue as well as rivets, but then obviously the welding was just spot welds on its own. So everything is absolutely spot on, really happy with it. So in this video, what we're going to do now is we're going to then trial fit the rear lights, the rear bumper, the side skirt, and if everything's good, I can then go over all the panels with some seam sealer and just basically cover up the welds, for example, cover up the structural rivets, and cover up any gaps that I made by putting panels on top of each other. So basically it's just going to be watertight and sealed in, and then yeah, it can be sent off to paint really. Now just quickly, I've got my old bumper here, and I was really worried about the cost of a diffuser because I know they can be very expensive, but I've had a bit of a touch because I didn't realise the diffuser comes in 3 parts. So we've got the right vents here, we have the centre bit here, and then we have the left vent here. So surprisingly, the centre bit is completely intact, it's not been broken. The right bit's not been broken either. So I've managed to pick up a left section. Oh, I ended up getting the right section as well because they were sold as a pair, but that was 150 quid. Now, considering the cost of a diffuser on the GT4, 150 quid is a very good price indeed. So we're going to, once they turn up, which should be in the next few days, hopefully before this video goes out, then we can get those fitted to the bumper as well, so we can have a proper good look at what it's going to look like. And we've got my mountain of body parts from obviously the crash damage. These are things I just didn't want to throw away, because no doubt when I was putting the thing back together, there would be small parts that I'd need. For example, look, this. So obviously I need that to be able to shut the passenger door, and that's the reason I didn't want to chuck everything away, because I'm sure there's like loads of little bolts, and there you go, look, there's a sensor there, look. That's for the rear light, I think, but that's the exact reason I didn't want to chuck everything away. So I'll get all these panels out one by one, and then I can work out where things go, as well as then swap them over as well. We got, I think this is just rubbish, but again, I just didn't want to chuck it away until I was sure. And last but not least, I have an exhaust for it. I could not find a second-hand exhaust. Well, I did find a second-hand exhaust, but the person wanted just a ridiculous amount for it. It was that much. I managed to get a complete brand new exhaust from 911 for less than he wanted for a standard used one. So we're going to be fitting that as well. May not be in today's video, but that will be going on. And under all this wrapping, I probably should have checked it when I bought it about 6 months ago, but we should have a brand new GT4 rear bumper. Well, I'm 99% sure I'm missing some brackets still, but let's just see what happens. I think the bumper's probably a bit out of shape as well for storage.
So I finally managed to get the bumper on. The problem was it's been sat in storage for so long that it was just bent on the bottom corners, so it's a bit hard to manipulate it around. But as you can see, it is all on, and if I'm honest, I am beyond happy of how this car's come out. I just can't believe how well it's come out, if I'm honest. And it almost makes me sad now that it's a Cat S, because it now shouldn't be, because it is that, like, putting everything in just lines up perfectly first time, and it's just come out so well. I've just had a look back at my previous video, and the piece that sits on top of here was always missing, so I need to find out what. I think it's just a bit of black plastic, possibly, I'm not too sure. There are a few things I need to get. So this light's not quite fitting right because the bracket that it sits in was broken, so I couldn't put a bolt in this side, so that's why it sits a bit low. So with that, when that's in properly, it will sit like that properly. Look. So that's why that's a bit hanging down, and also the bumper bolts to that bracket as well, and that's obviously I couldn't put that in. But I mean, we can just see, like, again, that's because the bumper needs to push further forward a little bit, but like everything just lines up so good. Obviously the boot needs repairing there, which shouldn't be too much of an issue, but everything here, look, is all good. Toe and eye cover nice and visible, and then we've got our lines down here, look, all good, all there, so we need to blend it in, but our lines all around the window, even around the door, look, door shut, and our side skirt as well, all just absolutely perfect. And yeah, just like even got this bang on lined up as well. So I'm yeah, I sound it, but I'm just beyond happy of how well this has turned out. So now that the test fit is all good, I can take off these parts now, and we can get seam sealer and seam seal all the seals, all the exposed bits on the chassis now, and then I can send it off to be painted. So between this and the next video, guys, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these parts back off and get everything done up. I will film it as well, but that won't be in today's video. So there's a few trims I need to order. My diffuser will be turning up. I've got the exhaust. There's a few bumper bracket trims under that light, as I just said, that need to be ordered. I do need to obviously find out what bracket I need that goes on the quarter panel here, because that was missing. I need a few trims that go across the back there, and a few trims I think behind the bumper. So I'm going to write a nice little shopping list. So between now and the next video, I'll order all those, I'll turn up, and then we could really probably going to be the final video. I can't see much else we've got to do, because once all them little trims are fitted, it's going to be sent off for paint, and essentially it's going to be done. I think I've just realised as well, because it's been so long since the last video, I don't think I did the brakes on the near side rear. So there's a brake pipe missing. It was inside the body, and I had to order a whole new brake pipe from Porsche. It was relatively cheap actually, 45 quid. But the problem is it went inside the body, along the inside chassis, and it went to the middle, to where you'd normally have a prop shaft, and it joined there, and trying to get that in position, because obviously it's pre-made to fit and it's already shaped, and trying to get that in, it was like loads, it was about 2 meters long, loads of different bends in it, and I ended up having to take the exhaust off, and a few other bits as well. It was an absolute nightmare, but I needed to get that brake pipe in so I could get the brakes fitted, so then I could obviously load it on the transporter so we have some sort of brake. So yeah, I don't think I showed that.
So we're going to start things off by getting the car in the air and removing the right-hand bank manifold, because it's got the old exhaust still stuck on it and I can't get it off. So we need to remove the whole manifold to get it off properly. I think the only thing we can do here, because the bolts are rusted and grounded, we're going to just have to grind the whole thing off. La-di-da-di-da. La-di-da-di-da. So the exhaust is now all good to go back on. So I'm going to fit that now back to the GT4. And this is the new sports exhaust we're going to be fitting. And as you can see, it's been heat wrapped by Imeco. So while I'm fitting the exhaust, I'm going to let Imeco and Stuart from Imeco talk a little bit more about exactly what this stuff does and the benefits. So now we're going to be fitting the exhaust, and I've actually got Stuart here from Imeco, because he has kindly wrapped our exhaust, heat wrapped it, and he's just going to now talk a little bit about what the benefits of heat wrapping is, and basically why you should heat wrap your car.
Yeah, well, hi, thanks for having us.
No problem.
So, I mean, for this kind of application, I mean, thermal management there, the main thing is trying to reduce the heat around the exhaust system and also keep the energy within it.
Yeah.
So where these link pipes, they're running really close to the tyre, the brake system.
Especially on the GT4, yeah. They're right by the tyre and in the wheel well, so
keeping as much heat out there as possible, I guess, is massively beneficial, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially a car like this where you're probably going to track day it and things
Exactly,
like that. It just allows you to, one, enjoy the track day the entire day, and you know, get kind of the most out of the car. So
Yeah.
instead of worrying about doing sort of 3 laps, whatever, and worrying about heat, having to do your cool down lap and stuff like that, you can pretty much push the car a lot more throughout the day.
Yeah, sure.
With doing this. So like performance wise, we've been getting a lot of sort of data with supporting all the touring car teams. So we get to see some really good data, and we've seen up to the sort of 75 to 85% surface temp reduction.
Yeah.
Which is massive for reducing the temperatures around the exhaust system, in the engine bay, and really controlling our air intake temperatures. That starts to come down.
Yeah.
All surrounding components that you're trying to make live longer, like tyres and things like this.
Yeah, because some people may think it's just a benefit to keep heat out, but it's actually got an engine benefit, a performance benefit as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So by having that side, so we also had some back-to-back data from cars not wrapped and cars with wrap on it. And the car with the wrap had sort of like 60 to 80 degree EGTs, so the exhaust temps were a lot higher.
Yeah.
Which just shows that the energy's staying within the system.
Yeah.
So the engine's running more efficiently.
Yeah.
And that, you know, for NAs that's great, but also like turbo applications.
Yeah.
By keeping the heat in, you're allowing your turbo to be more efficient and spool quicker, and you know, people are chasing mega numbers now, like 1,000 horsepower.
So every little helps, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, when you're pushing those sort of numbers, heat is creeping up massively. So if you run on a dyno, the last thing you want to sort of be told after spending a lot of money on your hardware setup is that you've got to turn the boost down and things like that because
Getting too hot. Yeah.
it's getting too hot.
Yeah.
Whereas this stuff just allows you to go full send.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and keep it out as much as possible.
Yeah.
And also, it just looks really good as well, doesn't it? It does look factory, doesn't it? It looks like I've literally bought it like this, but it does look really good.
Yeah. So you know, for like a durability side, so we can have our casing in different materials. This is a stainless steel dimple foil, which is then spot welded completely there. So you know, our production side is we're laser cutting all the foils. Everything's precise on your one-offs or your batch production. It doesn't matter for us. And then we're using in-house 3D printing for all our tooling. So all these bends, etc., is completely formed to the contours of the pipe to give you know, a nice looking product as well. And
yeah, it does look really good.
yeah, besides the performance thing, that's a thing that is a core value to us, is actually like, you know, quality and making sure your car looks the part as well. So
yeah, sure.
when you go into your car shows and your car meets, everyone wants to go, wow, nice engine bay.
Exactly, yeah. So what I'll do then, if I just put your link in the description here, and then if people want to find out any more information, they can obviously click the link, and they can obviously see your website and see what read up more if they want to, and then if they want to get their exhaust wraps, they know where to go.
Yeah. Also, I mean, so for anything like that, all we need is mainly like pictures is absolutely fine to put a quote together, that kind of thing. It's it doesn't have to be anything too complicated for us, and
cool.
It'd be great to help.
Yeah, cool, right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see what it's like on track. Now, with the exhaust loosely in position, actually looks pretty good there, just needs the tips fitting, and obviously I need to put that new exhaust manifold on, which I'll do at a later date. We're starting to refit the rear end, so we've got our crash bar here with our built-in heat shield. I've also done a few little bits, like I've just put this little wiring loom in, and then remembered that when I removed the chassis leg all those months ago, I forgot about removing this loom, and I grinded straight through it. So it's only 4 wires, it's for the parking sensors. So we'll just connect those back up in a moment before we put the boot floor in. I've put the connector for the light in, just little brackets like that for the light. And now we're going to move on to this panel here. I don't know really what it does on a Cayman. I think it's more for when you've got a Boxster, and I think the rear spoiler, deploying the rear spoiler was built into this. So I don't think most of this is actually necessary for the Cayman. But like for like, we'll stick it on. It just goes there. And then off of that, we can then put our brackets for our lights, get those in as well, and just start building it up slowly. I mean, just look at that, look. Beautiful bolt holes lining up perfectly first time, and also this is the side that was crash damaged. Everything is just going in so nicely. Look at these gaps. I know everything's perfect before I've measured everything, but it's just cementing how good this has come out, this car. And if I didn't need any more confirmation about how perfect the lines are, check out the line for the rear boot. Absolutely perfect. So again, look. What a car. This is coming out really well. Now I need the GT4 badging from the rear bumper down there. It's got all the letters on it, but I know, here look, it's got the Porsche GT4, and I know if I try and order them from Porsche, I'm going to be 200 quid down. So I wonder if there's a way of taking these off of here and getting them onto the new bumper without it looking worse than that.
Now I'm just going to pop both rear tail lights in. You don't know how many times I tried to do this before realising the bumper's got to go on first. One of the last things we've got to do is just a few things on the front end, like fit this new side indicator, which goes, I have no clue. There we go, the hook's in there by the looks of it. And pushes in. There we go, that's that fitted. Just got the GT4 on the ground, rolled it off the ramp, because the rest of the stuff we can do on the ground, but just look how good this now looks. I've just fitted the tailpipes to the exhaust as well. I know I might have to mess around with it because fitting that new cap, but for now I just thought I'd put them on to see what it looked like, and it just looks epic. Rear lights are in, GT4 OEM lights, and yeah, just fitted a new battery as well, so we're good to go. So we're about to start out for the first time and listen to what an actual exhaust sounds like, because I've never actually heard this car with an exhaust on. It's only ever been broken in my possession, but just look how good it's all come out. Obviously we need to get this painted, but for now you can't really notice it, so yeah, just looks so good. And also the black splitter as well on the front, which looks epic as well. Does kind of make you think you need to paint this gloss black, but I think might be able to just get away with it, because obviously we got gloss black here as well and a few other black accents, but I think you can just about get away with it. Does look sick, obviously black wheels as well. Just look, we're going to get it outside because I'm not really doing it justice in here. It's dirty as well, so it needs a clean. So let's start out for the first time and listen to what this sounds like. Oh! Hello! Had to use some ramps, didn't want to rip off my front splitter, but just look how good this looks. It's warmed up a little bit now, so let's go for a little rev. That sounds absolutely incredible. Incredible. So now we've got the outside looking and sounding very nice indeed. Oh, just quickly as well, I didn't realise you can actually buy these end caps from Porsche. Now, they just glue on, I believe. Now, guess how much... Well, I'm not going to tell you to guess because we're wasting too much time. 380 quid just for this plastic end cap here, which is taking the piss, quite frankly. If anyone can 3D print me one of these, do let me know to obviously completely match the other side. I don't know how to go about even looking for someone that could do that sort of thing. If someone
that's watching this video can 3D print one of these end caps, please do let me know. Or if you can 3D print 2 and change it up a little bit, I don't know. But now we're going to concentrate and turn our attention to the interior. So we've got to put all this back together. It's nothing major, it's mainly just in that corner here, putting the boot trims around, obviously feeding the electrics back from the boot into the car, and also the boot trim as well, getting the boot latch on here as well so then it actually closes, and then putting all the flooring lining in so it all then looks like a nice normal car. So I think I'm going to start probably by fixing this wiring loom. So the main problem I had here is it was over a year ago since I actually stripped this boot out, so I couldn't remember where anything went or the order they went in. So I spent a lot of time trying to work that out, and every trim either underlapped or overlapped on top of each other or underneath each other. So I had to do things about 5 or 6 times, sometimes even more, just to get this all in the right order. But eventually I did get there. We put the boot seal on around the edge, and then obviously hoovered out, cleaned out, got the boot floor on as well, and then just everything started going together once we got those carpet bits in. Then we had to fit the boot latch and get the trim for the boot latch on, and then just make sure the boot closes, which you're about to find out. But yeah, get the back bit of carpet on, and then the few last remaining trims, and I think we're pretty much there. Right, we are finally there with the interior of the rear anyway, and it's all back to factory and looking absolutely sweet. The only thing I haven't done is you can see I've only got one gas strut, and that's because I don't have the ball to screw in there to put the other gas strut in. I don't know, it was part of obviously the old quarter panel. I thought I saved it. Apparently I can't find it, so I must have chucked it away. I have ordered a new one, but that won't be here for a little bit. Not really going to impact anything, but it just means I'm going to have to use some mole grips to hold the boot open for the moment. But yeah, everything is back in now, so it's the moment of truth. I'm going to undo this. I have checked the boot latch works, and it does. So it's holding itself up now. Incredible. Is it going to shut? Oh, no, now it's going. Slowly, surely. Is it going to? Brilliant. Oh, there we go. Locked in position. Went in a treat. Now, does it open? That is the question. Oh, like a glove. There we go. Beautiful. Now that is the rear end. Let's get it back up. It's not going to stay up now, is it? Nope. Right, that is the rear end done. And that means the last thing we've now got to finish off is just putting this side skirt back on. I've got a few trims here. I'm actually waiting for some clips because these are all damaged, so I'm waiting for some new ones to turn up. They'll be here any minute, and then we can get the side skirt fitted. Wheel arch liner apparently I didn't have, so I've ordered that. I'll be here in a couple of days, and then it's just gonna be a case of getting the trim back on the door, putting the trim around the window, which I can probably do now actually, and then it just needs a good clean. The whole car needs a good clean, and then we're gonna go for the big reveal because it will be then pretty much done. I don't know if you just saw my arse for most of that, but seal's in, finally. There we go. Right, that should now sound nice when I shut it for the first time. Or shut it properly. Beautiful. Woo! There we go. Guys, I think the GT4 is finally done. Yes, I know there's a very few small bits that I've got to do, like fit a wheel arch liner in here, which is a couple of screws, fit the bonnet dampening, and we're going to clean it in a second. But for now, I'm calling the GT4 now done. It is everything mechanical, everything bodywork wise is done. There's just a few obviously little things we need to do, but I'll do that off camera. But we're going to go for a little first drive. Just up and down the drive, nothing major, but I'm absolutely buzzing. For some reason, it smells like race fuel. I'm getting a massive smell of race fuel. Oh, it looks so weird just jumping in here, and it's relatively clean everywhere. Right, let's go for a start. Oh, that noise. So much better with an exhaust. It sounds epic.
So guys, that is the end of the GT4 series, and what an epic series it has been. Now, I don't know about you, but this is probably one of the most, I don't know, most satisfying builds that I've done to date. It has come out so well, it is unreal. Now, obviously, this being a track car, what better place to road test this for the first time than on a track. And yeah, as I said earlier in the video, I'm going to Silverstone, and Silverstone will be the first time driving this car on the road. So if you like these series, guys, you like this type of video, please do subscribe, and I'll see you at Silverstone on the 11th of May. Cheers, guys. I'm just coming out of the pit lane, first time in the GT4, first time road testing it. I hope it's good. First overtake! Yes! And the overtaken! GTR behind me there. I'm pulling from the GTR in the corners. See ya! GTR, what? No, GTR! See ya! Don't know this corner. Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. Ah! Yes! Oh yes. Could have gone faster on that corner.